So I came across this from fellow YouTuber Liar Politicians, GMB, debating Keir Starmer's political prisoner Lucy Connelly while judge refuses release. And, I look at this and I just think, out of the 4 people there, there's only one actually defending this Lucy Connelly. Because let's face it, she's got something like 31 months. I mean, there's no argument. The tweet wasn't that bright. It wasn't. She wrote at the time, remember, when she just found out that 3 children had been murdered in Southport, yeah? She wrote at the time, mass deportation now, set fire to all the, essentially fucking hotels full of the bastards. For all I care, if that makes me racist, so be it. Yeah, not exactly the smartest of tweets, but... And she did take it down something like 3.5 hours later. But apparently by then, it had been seen by 300, or, it had been viewed 310,000 times. But I look at this, and under fair use, let me play you some of this.
Lucy Connelly from Northampton, of course. Many people remember she was the woman who went online after the Southport attacks, and she made some very inflammatory comments. She talked about mass deportation now. She urged her followers on X to set fire to hotels housing asylum seekers. She said, if that makes me a racist, so be it, and all that. Well, she was sent to jail, and she's appealed against the jail sentence yesterday, and the appeal's been turned down. So she's staying in jail. What do we make of that?
31 months she got,
31 months.
Which I always thought was too long, in my view, and I think it's appalling that
the crime was inciting racial hatred.
Now, you've got, what's her face there? That individual, just to emphasise, the charge was inciting racial hatred. Keep that in mind.
Because it was called an exemplary sentence as a deterrent, but she's a mum. She's got a 12-year-old daughter. What is this doing to her family? And we know that some people who commit violent crimes against women get sentences that are less than 31 months.
Well, increase there.
It's not right.
Look, she was inciting racial hate.
Oh, so increase it.
If you missed that, reinforce she was apparently inciting racial hatred. And I think this guy, former Labour councillor Ricky Jones, who is still out on bail. Yeah, think about this guy, under fair use.
We've got children and women using those trains, destroying the summer holiday. They are disgusting, nasty bastards, and we need to cut all their throats and get rid of them all.
And this guy is still out on bail. This lady, who I'll repeat, it was wasn't the smartest of tweets, but 31 months. But think about these people. Oh, no, she's just the scum of the earth.
It's just not right. 310,000 people read that. We saw what happened in those riots. I'm sorry, if you've got any sympathy, don't give it to her.
Well, I've got sympathy.
It came up in the court.
That guy in the end, absolute bought and paid for Masonic psychopath, I would argue. Good chance he's Eastern Star, but hey, I don't know. I really don't know. But this is Freemasonry in action, I would argue. Yeah, seriously. But he says more. I mean, really, she's just apparently the scum of the earth. And think about this guy, seriously.
We've got children and women using those trains, destroying the summer holiday. They are disgusting, nasty bastards, and we need to cut all their throats and get rid of them all.
Anyway, where were we?
Case when the 3 judges rejected a case. You can't read it all out because of her language, and I understand that. But then they were looking at other messages she was sending in. You're saying, oh, this has come back to bite me on the backside. She didn't quite use that. Lols. Laugh out loud. And then she said she was going to play the mental health card.
Yeah, but Kevin, I think...
The mental health card. Okay, let me just, give you another example. Pregnant drugs mule 19 who was caught trying to smuggle 22 kilograms of cannabis into Britain from Canada is spared jail after telling court she needed cash for a house deposit. And apparently she had a shit life somewhere. She'd had a difficult childhood and spent time in a care home. He added that before the offence, she discovered she was pregnant and didn't want the child to experience the same childhood she had. Yeah. She doesn't get any jail time. None. Oh, no, that's nobody's. No problem. It's okay, doll. But, yeah. This villain. Oh, pff. You can imagine the comments. But where were we?
Come on. I mean, it's pretty
The trouble is, as Andrew says, there are some people who are convicted of violent crime.
Against women.
Well, I mean, against any individual
Yeah.
who don't spend as long in prison. So is incitement...
And talking about spending time in prison, well, I can't actually get to the article, but I was reading it somewhere through the Law Society Gazette. In fact, it actually showed more information than what I could glean from the Times article. Where was it? I'll find it. Oh yeah, Britain faces the horrible reality of having to release prisoners convicted of serious crimes early to prevent the total and complete collapse of law and order, the Lord Chancellor says in an interview with The Times. I'll leave you a link. Some of you may have access to it. But the hypocrisy of it all, seriously, and so much more, really, honestly. But it goes on.
A more serious crime in this case than actually assaulting somebody physically yourself.
I've often been on here in life generally thinking that sentence should be longer. In my view, I haven't sat through the court, haven't heard all the evidence, but I think that should be longer. And I keep saying that, but I'm not.
Which crime? The one that where someone is guilty of assault?
Sometimes, but I'm not going to say that this person, when the judges have gone through the law and they've looked at it, and the law hasn't been changed in recent times. So when Boris Johnson says we're turning into a police state, the laws would have existed during his period. So no, I'm sorry, I've got no sympathy for her.
What about Kevin's point that when the sentence...
I mean, this is propaganda on steroids to get the public to accept what I would argue is fairly unacceptable. She said some, misjudged things that, could have been, but there's people done really some quite serious crimes, but no, don't worry about it, though. You've had a bad childhood. Yeah, and, you could, this, Ricky Jones. How the hell is he out on bail? He's literally calling at that time, the same time that roughly when she was doing a tweet, and he's calling for throats to be cut.
was handed down. It was a very specific time in this country. Britain was catching fire. That there were riots, the like of which we hadn't seen for a very long time. And his point is that an exemplary sentence had to be sent down to stamp out and extinguish those fires.
That. But I still think...
Let me play that again, roughly round about the same time. What was this guy doing?
We've got children and women using those trains. It's doing us some morality. They are disgusting, nasty bastards. And we need to cull their throats and get rid of them all.
Seriously. Honestly, just... There needs to be an embracement of some common sense. And the public, the general population's thoughts and views need to be, well, taken into consideration. And most of the public, quite rightly so, feel that what's going on in this absolutely two-tier justice system is utterly wrong. I would say. Anyway, your thoughts, and I'll speak to you soon.